You buddy boy. Hey, what's going on? Lee Sanders here. Checking out an all new RCWR show coming at you guys Tuesday night of July 24th, 2018. Come one, come all. Couple of minutes removed. I gotta admit, I was a little bit distracted by the new Ms. and Mrs. series. It premiered after SmackDown. About maybe 10 more minutes of the episode is left. I believe it's a half-hour special. I would like to believe that's what's going on. I didn't really check the DVR, but I did record it. I did watch probably the first 5 minutes, and I must say I've never been a fan of the WWE reality shows with the exception of Tough Enough. So I never have invested any time into Total Divas or Total Bellas, but I like what I saw from Ms. and Mrs. tonight. I think this might be a series that maybe I might find myself checking out from time to time. It would probably be maybe on the last to-do list on the DVR because I have so many other shows that I need to catch up on. Not to mention Walking Dead. I'm still about maybe 7 episodes behind, and I got to hurry up and get caught up because we all know what's going to be going down with this upcoming 9th season of The Walking Dead, as Andrew Lincoln, in case you guys missed it, he pretty much had broke the news out last week, and it was a white hot topic going into the San Diego Comic-Con this year. He is stepping away from the role that has pretty much made him a household name everywhere around the world. Yes, he is walking away from The Walking Dead. We talked about it on this show many weeks back, but now it is official as he put the statement out there. So he's not really giving too much away right now, but he is promising fans that they will definitely I don't think enjoy is really the right word because nobody's really going to enjoy Andrew Lincoln walking away from The Walking Dead, but from the news that he did put out there, the way he spun it, fans are going to be pretty proud of the way the Rick Grimes story arc kind of at least comes to an end, maybe for now. Now, he didn't say maybe for now. I'm hoping, I'm being a little bit optimistic that maybe we'll continue to see him down the road here or there. But then again, if my man gets eaten by a zombie or a boatload of zombies, we can pretty much forget that. Only time he's going to be coming back is in some goddamn flashbacks. Let's be for real, But I think that this is going to be a show I'll definitely, with regards to Ms. and Mrs., I think this is going to be a show I'll definitely be checking out from time to time. But like I said, I got so many other shows on the DVR as it is. I got to catch up on Walking Dead, other stuff. But I can definitely see myself enough to know what's been going on with the season. So I'm very curious how many episodes the USA Network had ordered for this. If it's a situation where they went on ahead and they ordered, I don't know, maybe 14 episodes just to kind of get things starting, get a really good feel. And then if everything is good with the numbers, then maybe they'll order the rest. We'll have a good idea in a couple of weeks. I can't wait to see how the ratings do, honestly, and I hope they do pretty damn good. I pretty much stopped watching it right after we learned basically how Miz and Maurice had got together, and I tell you, it was like going down memory lane, just going back to that infamous season of Tough Enough with Maurice. And I must admit, when I first saw her, I'm going, she needs to win. Oh my God, look at her. She needs to win this hands down. And who would have thought that that's how Miz was going to meet his wife? I mean, that's a pretty badass story. And on a personal note, it could be just me to each its own, but I think Maurice looks extremely cute, pregnant. I don't know about you guys, but she just had this nice glow going about her and everything. I don't know, something about her pregnant I really kind of thought was really cool, man. I'm seeing a little bit of lag that's going on right now. So I'm hoping, and I'm seeing this lag maybe via YouTube. So I'm hoping that maybe it's just a situation where maybe YouTube is just acting up a little bit. Yeah. Then again, you know what? I do have quite a few windows open. So actually, let me close some of these windows down for you guys, and maybe that will actually help me out a little better. There we go. I think that should definitely help us out. Okay, so we are streaming live right now for the next little bit, streaming live on YouTube, also streaming on Facebook. We finally figured out the Facebook mystery. I believe I cracked the code, kind of like it's the Da Vinci Code, only it's the Facebook code. I think I finally cracked it. I will tell you about that in a hot second, but we're streaming on YouTube, we're streaming on Facebook, we're streaming on Spreaker, and we're streaming live via the RCWR Show app, which you guys really should be representing. You need to be representing. I came out of my pockets to get the app on Android in the Google Play Store for free for you guys. So for you hardcore Android lovers, please do represent. Support the show by making sure you check out all the episodes on demand and on downloads. Listen to the episode live via the RCWR Show app if you can't be in front of the computer. You can't check out the live web stream and everything. I figured out the Facebook code. So shout out to those of you that like using Facebook, especially right now when you're seeing that Facebook is slowly but surely rolling out the monetization for all. And now it's just a situation where originally when it came to Facebook and monetization, it was only available to a select few major corporate companies. So your WWE, your NFL, your celebrity athletes, your actors, maybe politicians to a degree, but now Facebook is getting to that point where they're slowly rolling out just randomly to certain Facebook pages. Now, we aren't on that list yet for the monetization options, but for those of you that love streaming on Facebook, you're looking at Facebook as a really good alternative to YouTube, because after all, YouTube is slowly but surely starting to, I would say they're kind of starting to push out the mime pause, the podcasts like ours and others that come on here and talk about all kinds of really cool topics each week. They're kind of phasing us out to really be sleeping in bed and doing business with the major TV satellite, networks and all that, right? So a lot of people are going, where's the better alternative? Where's a better alternative? So if you've been looking at Facebook and you really want to stream on Facebook, one piece of advice I'd love to give to you guys is make sure, and I was able to test this out, okay? When you're about to go live on Facebook, you know how there's that section body where you can put in an entire description pretty much of like what all you're going to be talking about on the show? Well, I learned that it's actually better, and I learned this literally a few seconds before I went on the air. I learned that it's better to leave that blank, because if you put in, and I just force of habit, when I'm thinking about, okay, this is what all I'm going to be covering on the episodes. Okay, I've got this all nice and hooked up. It's pretty magnifico. All right, let's go ahead. Let's copy paste this. Let's share this on this outlet so that everybody has the same information when they're seeing what all is going to be talked about on the show. I really like to do it for those that's going to be checking out the show on demand and on downloads, right? But I noticed for Facebook, for some weird reason, they cannot handle all of that description that you're putting in that body. Don't ask me why, but for some reason, and I was able to establish this, what I did, and you can try it out yourself. What I did, did like I normally do for the title of the episode. I put that in there, but the entire body paragraph of what all was going to be covered, I put in the body section of Facebook, right? I put in my tags, and it would not go live. It kept saying error. And if you guys have been checking out the show the past couple of weeks, I've been telling you there's been an error message. So I don't know if it's my end or if it's Facebook end. So finally, I said, you know what, let me try something new. So I actually, once I saw that got me another error, I said, well, wait a minute, let me just try something here. And it was so funny because originally I just went in tonight and I just did test. I did no tags, nothing. I titled it test. I put in the body test, and I did some whatever tags, and then I hit go live, and it gave me the countdown. You know that it's working properly when it gives you the 3, 2, 1 countdown. Okay. So I go, son of a bitch, it's working on test. So then I went back, I titled it, put in the episode description like I normally would do it. And then when I hit live, it said error. I'm like, what the hell? So then I went back, I left the title as it was. I left the tags as it was. I went into the body and I actually just deleted all of it. I didn't put anything in there. And then I said go live. And then I got the 3, 2, 1 countdown. And shout out to our Facebook audience. They're now able to see me again. So I think that's actually very beneficial for you guys. So I don't know if it's a situation where the longer the description, basically, yeah, you're not going to be able to go live on Facebook. But my advice to you guys that like going live on Facebook as another alternative to Facebook, or you just want to have all your media outlets covered, because I know at the end of the day, we can say what we want about, well, this platform sucks because, or this one's not cool because, at the end of the day, it's really all about syndication and getting your brand. You know, if you're a podcaster or a TV, radio personality or whatever, it's really about getting your message across, and it's really about utilizing all of the platforms that are at your disposal so that you're able to build upon your brand and build your fan base. And I can't tell you how essential Facebook has been for me and my brand and my show as far as growth goes over these past several years. It's gotten now to that point where I can just post something silly and stupid on Facebook and I get a boatload of people that actually respond to it. Point being, we got a funny ass Roman Reigns poll that's up right now. It's a simple poll, but it's hilarious. All it is an image. It's got Roman Reigns. You can go see it for yourself. Facebook.com/the RCWR Show. And it's a simple image. It's just Roman Reigns. And it's basically asking you guys, rate Roman Reigns. You can read it in the image. And it's basically rate Roman Reigns. And you have basically, you could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to 10. And it's so funny looking at the different reactions. I haven't even tallied it up yet because it's just been growing and growing and growing. And I'm going, let me leave that alone. Let me actually let this run a little bit longer. Hell, I can do an entire, at least almost half a show talking about Roman Reigns, you know, at some point. Maybe I'll do a special edition. Who knows, right? But it's funny that the way you play the game, all you have to do is just post a number. But it's funny as hell seeing people that are going out of their way to leave a comment about how disgusted they are with Roman Reigns. And I'm going to some people, I'm saying, that's not how you play the game. That's not how we're playing it. You can't just leave a comment. You got to actually leave a number. That's the name of the game. That's how you're playing it. Like, you're not playing the game. Leave a number. And it got to that point where I just started saying to people, okay, look. If you're going to leave a comment, at least leave a number first and then leave a comment. So you could say 2 and then blah, 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 right? But it's just funny seeing like all the different reactions and then combining that with the different numbers. I got to tell you, there's a lot of 10s out there for Roman Reigns. Again, it's going from 1 to 10, 1 just being the absolute drizzles, 10 just being awesome. And there are a lot of, you can't make this up. You got to see it for yourself. And I was just amazed at the amount of people that were just coming in, chiming off. And I got the inspiration for that because I saw what had came about from Raw this week. And we're kind of going to go a little bit back and forth. I'm not doing the full-blown Raw, SmackDown recap. There's enough shows out there as it is that do that type of stuff. I only want to talk about the things that kind of piqued my interest. You should have the pattern down by now. But if you're new, welcome. Lee Sanders here. We've been talking and covering all things wrestling, entertainment, and beyond since 2011, right? I've been doing it oh so strong. We're now, up to 605? Yeah, it's our 605th episode right now that we're putting out there. It's pretty damn good considering we normally typically do this once a week, right? So, you know, the Raw, I try to prepare you guys. I say, you know what, man? And it really dawned on me. And you want to talk about consistency. I was on this very show when it came to Extreme Rules, the post show. And I said, hey, man, yeah, like I said on the prediction special, Bobby Lashley's going to pick up the dub. He's going to get it. I would love to see him go on to SummerSlam. It would be great to have a refreshing new matchup. A lot of hardcore fans want to see a Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar. This is something that many MMA fans have always wanted to see, but for some weird reason, it seems like the stars never aligned for these two guys to meet in the octagon. My God, you talk about WWE being in a position where they could potentially make some decent money. Why not go in this new direction, right? But I tell you what, all was lost for me when we had that silly ass segment that went down last week where it was announced there was going to be a tournament to basically figure out who the top two people were going to be to face each other, and then the outcome of that winner-wise would go on to face Brock Lesnar for the Universal title at SummerSlam. So soon as that had laid out, you guys would be in agreement. I pretty much had took a massive crap on that. I pretty much had talked about the stupid booking 101 that went down with that. Very passionate about that as well. And I really did not see any legit arguments as far as, hey, somebody explain to me how this makes. Nobody had the comeback for the stupid booking that played out last week. All right. Yeah, listen to last week's episode. Check out clips online to get caught up to speed if you missed it. Right. So I'm seeing how this played down last week, and I'm automatically saying to myself, and I put it out there. So it's not like I did it the day of this past Monday's Raw. I jumped out there as soon as we had got last week's Raw. I'm going, oh yeah, Bobby Lashley. Yeah, you might have got that dub from Roman at Extreme Rules, but yeah, looks like Roman's going to be coming for that dub back so he can go on to SummerSlam. And sure enough, that's exactly how it had played out on Raw this week. But I tell you what, Lashley, Roman, a great match. And, it sucks that so many people felt indifferent about the match that they had at Extreme Rules. I actually thought it was a pretty good, solid match. I mean, I've been very consistent on this show when it comes to my critique of Roman Reigns. I have always said that when it comes to Roman Reigns and his matches, he's never been in a match where you go, my God, that was the Drizzles. What the hell was that? You never go that way. You may get tired of the character direction of Roman Reigns and the way some of you are led to feel with regards to Roman being shoved down your throat. So yeah, without a doubt, there's a lot of people that feel a certain way. There's a certain emotion that is evoked when they think about Roman Reigns. Just the mere fact that he comes out from the gorilla position and he's making his way down the ramp into the ring, it evokes a certain emotion, whether it is a positive or a negative. He has his sayers, right? But unanimously, I've never seen people take a massive crap on Roman Reigns in the ring, right? No matter who his opponent is. I think probably maybe one of the only rare times people felt a little bit indifferent about Roman Reigns in a match. I would have to go as far back as Roman Reigns, Jinder Mahal. People didn't really care in particular to see that one, and just paying attention to what all we've gotten about from Roman Reigns since he's been called up to the main roster. That's probably maybe one only of a handful of times in history that almost, I won't say unanimously, but a vast majority of fans have felt as though, Roman, this match, not feeling it, dog. So for me, seeing what Roman and Lashley were able to do at Extreme Rules, I did put that match over. I thought it was good. I thought what they did on Monday night was equally as good, maybe slightly a little bit better. And it was just what I loved about the match the most. It was just a good old fashioned technical kind of, old school match. Just had that old school vibe to it. Maybe from like the late 80s, mid 90s kind of. Just had that kind of weird vibe to it. It was a good vibe and I loved it. And I would just love to see more detail in matches like that come about from some of today's wrestling promotions that's out there, as far as on the major scale. You get to see them on television every single week and all. But Roman Reigns, should we really be surprised that once again it's going to be Roman Reigns, it's going to be Brock Lesnar? I get it. I don't want to sit here tonight. This isn't about I told you so. It's definitely because honestly, anybody that jumps out there and tries to say I told you so with regards to Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, that's really nothing to be patting yourself on the back about. It really isn't, for the simple fact that WWE has become so saturated over the years. It has become very predictable with regards to match outcomes, with regards to, okay, this is probably the opponent that's going to be facing this person pretty soon. I mean, you can smell this. I mean, you watch the product long enough, you can just spot stuff a mile away. So I don't really think anybody should have been surprised by Roman Reigns going to SummerSlam to face Brock Lesnar again. I think, if anything, what is probably, I would say, a combination of most troubling and most head scratching for people is the fact that once again, it's Roman and Brock. And, one could make the argument, well, man, it's been a really long time since we've had a feud that has just been going on for a good minute now, almost a year in the making, so to speak. And when you just chronicle, this goes beyond the greatest Royal Rumble. This, with regards to Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, it so goes beyond that. I mean, this pretty much goes way back to the very first time that Roman Reigns ever had locked it up with Brock Lesnar. I mean, that's how far back you really got to go, right? And it's definitely a couple of years in the making if you really stop and think about it, right? It's so not how WWE is trying to paint it as far as, oh, the greatest Royal Rumble. No, 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 no. It's much deeper than that. It's much richer than that. And so it's been a really, if you stop and think about it, just from a wrestling history standpoint, it's been a good minute since we've seen a rivalry like this. Yeah. But at the same time, I think what's really been most annoying for fans is that, okay, you're putting us in this position where we have this guy who has the title. We rarely see him. And then we have this other guy who's constantly being shoved down our throats. We don't really like the way he's being put out there at us on TV every single week. Yeah, his matches are good, but my God, you're just shoving him down our goddamn throats. Like, what the hell? Can't you guys kind of breathe and stop for a little bit, And I get that argument that a lot of fans are making. I get that. And look, man, SummerSlam, couple of weeks, coming to us once again from New York. Man, that New York crowd, passionate, vocal New York crowd, they're going to be bringing it. They've been bringing it the past couple of years. All right. So, man, I'm just jumping ahead a little bit. I don't want to be going over predictions right now with regards to SummerSlam, but, just looking and thinking about this matchup that's going to be happening in a couple of weeks, I just do not believe that Roman Reigns is going to be walking away with the Universal Championship. I don't think it's going to be as clear cut. I don't think there's going to be a situation where Roman's going to be able to cleanly defeat Brock Lesnar. I don't think it's going to be going down that way. If I were to offer ideas as far as how I would maybe book this matchup, first of all, I just am not seeing and I'm not buying a Roman Reigns wins the Universal title from Brock and then Braun Strowman comes out and defeats Roman. I'm not seeing that. I'm just not seeing that. And I know we have Braun Strowman taking on Kevin Owens for the Universal title. That's supposed to be going down. I'm just not. I'm not seeing Braun Strowman losing that briefcase. I'm just not seeing that. Okay, but Braun Strowman cashing in on Roman Reigns, that makes no sense. It really doesn't. When you look at the history, the rich history between the rivalry that is of Roman Lesnar, I'm just not seeing that. What I do possibly see happening, if I was setting this up, there is a young man that is healthy, that has been on the sidelines waiting patiently to be brought back into the right story arc. Personally, what I would love to see happen is a situation where, and I spun this web the other night, but there's two ways you can go about this. And I actually like the first idea I'm putting out there just to keep up with consistency, right? Storyline consistency. I would love to just see a situation occur where Roman Reigns, Lesnar, they beat the holy hell out of each other. And it is just back and forth. You know, it's like watching Thanos take on Doomsday, basically. All right. It's on that type of a massive comic universal scale. They're just slugging it out. Okay. All of a sudden, have a situation occur. Referee gets into the crosshairs. He gets taken out of the equation. Man, you could have Brock Lesnar take advantage of it, and just we could see him kick the living hell out of Roman Reigns in the groin. Roman's on the ground. You're going, oh man, this does not look good whatsoever. You could then have Lesnar do the F5. Boom, lays out Roman Reigns, goes for the cover, but hey, referee is still down. Lesnar's pissed, goes over to the ref, slaps the referee around a little bit, tries to get him to come to, picks up Roman Reigns, delivers another F5, goes for the cover. Ref kind of barely comes to a little bit, counts to one, counts to two, Roman Reigns kicks out. Referee is still pretty much, you know, he was able to come to, but he's still kind of shaking the cobwebs off. He's still on the ground, holding his head, trying to get himself together and everything. When all of a sudden you see a masked man enter the ring with a steel chair, starts beating the holy crap out of Brock Lesnar. Just beats the holy crap out of Brock Lesnar. This would be a pretty damn good, sweet setup. That's one way you could go. So this Max man beats the holy crap out of Brock Lesnar, but he also takes a steel chair, beats the holy crap out of Roman Reigns. Okay. Just leaves both of these guys laid out. So now you're kind of going, who is this guy? Who the hell is it? Takes off his mask. It turns out to be Dean Ambrose. Sounds good so far, right? Now, if you want to clean that up a little bit more, you know, one of the things that you could do is you could just have Brock Lesnar defeat Roman Reigns. But another way you can go about this, you can have Roman Reigns lose to Lesnar, still bring in your maxed man, have him beat the crap out of Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar barely escapes with the title. All right. Lays him out, takes off the mask. Holy crap. It's Dean Ambrose. Why, Dean? Why? You can easily trace everything back to that one match that Ambrose and Lesnar had. And you can make the argument, wasn't it No Way Out from a couple of years back? Feels like maybe it was, God, it feels like it was, at this point, it feels like it was maybe over a year ago. Or I wouldn't be surprised if maybe it was 2 years ago. Because, I mean, time flies sometimes when you're not really paying attention, all right? Literally just this past weekend, I couldn't believe that it's been 1 year since the passing of NBC4's Jim Vance. And we'll get into that in a little bit, but how time flies, you know. But you have Dean Ambrose lay out Brock Lesnar. You could easily just tie everything back to the history and everything. Okay, so Roman's lost, but Brock Lesnar retained, yet he got his ass handed to him by Dean Ambrose. Cue the music of Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman comes on out, picks up the scraps, that is of Lesnar. Power slam, couple of scoop up running power slams. Boom. Braun Strowman is your new WWE champion. So, I mean, you could do it that way so that Roman Reigns never touches that belt, because if I'm the New York crowd, WWE, they got to be smart. I would like to believe that WWE is gonna be doing a major swerve. They have to. There's just no way I am picturing. Just picture how that pay-per-view is gonna go off if Roman Reigns holds up that Universal title in the air. You could have all the goddamn fireworks in the world, you know, pew, 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 pew. You can have all that crap in the world. It is not going to stop them from hiding the massive amount of booze that's going to be coming from that hot New York crowd. I have friends and colleagues that live in New York, and man, that just ain't going to be good. Let me tell you. So I would like to believe that there's going to be a couple of swerves that's going to be happening. So, but no, you can easily trace it back. You can easily trace it back. I remember Dean Ambrose, Brock Lesnar. There was something they did. I want to say there was a No Way Out pay-per-view. I definitely remember the match at WrestleMania for the simple fact I remember that was kind of like a street fight. I remember how Dean Ambrose pretty much buried Lesnar in interviews afterwards, saying Lesnar was very difficult to work with. He didn't really want to talk about spots. And I remember Ambrose saying Lesnar really did not try to work with him in making their match reach its fullest potential. How Lesnar just wanted to do certain spots, you know. As far as Ambrose was concerned, he was just lazy. He was just showing up for a paycheck or whatever. So, I mean, that's just two instances right there, but there's a lot more that you could probably string along, but those are the main two that jump out in my mind where you can just be like, see, here's some history here between Ambrose and Lesnar, and here's why he did what he did, getting a little bit of revenge for himself. But hey, Shield brothers, you know, no problem with that, right? So we'll have to see it. But I would like to believe, and I would like to believe that we all as wrestling fans, whether you're a mark or a smark, at the end of the day, we're all wrestling fans, right? So I would like to believe that, especially when we've been paying attention to professional wrestling for as many years, especially considering how WWE has practically grown up in the New York territories, right? You know, we would like to believe that WWE is not going to be that naive, and it's not going to be as clear cut. Okay, we're just going to put the belt on Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns wins the title. I would like to believe it's not going to be that clear cut, that there are some serious swerves that they're definitely working on. So we'll see how that's going to be playing out. Also, big thing that came about from WWE this week. You got a little bit of a tease, pretty much right before the end of the weekend, but we heard rumblings that Stephanie was going to be making an announcement. What was the announcement going to be? And I mean, everybody pretty much, the wavelength, right? The brain waves, everybody was thinking the same thing. She's going to either announce a women's tag team division, or she's going to announce a women's tag team pay-per-view. And to see the announcement, first, I like to say it was pretty classy the way that they had did it. I love the fact that you had the main flagship show, Raw, open up with, you know, the entire roster out there, and Vince, Steph, Hunter putting over the women and all that. I love that. You know, Vince kind of looked a little bit like, I don't know, he looked cranky to me. He looked as though he really did not want to be there. I didn't really see him smiling enough. He just seemed to be kind of like, can we get this over with? That's just honestly how he kind of came off to me. To each its own, but that's just how he came off. And I could totally be wrong with that. But, you know, I've seen him over the years in some pretty interesting segments, smiley face and all that, chippery and all that. But he didn't really look that. I don't know, to each its own. Maybe I'm overreacting, but I swear he didn't really look like he was in the zone. Yeah. But, you know, to see the announcement made that WWE is going to be hosting the first ever all women pay-per-view event, they're dubbing it Evolution. I wish there was a better name that they could have went with. You know, you couldn't say, no, I'm not going to even mention that. I'm going to keep that to myself. No, but, you know, I mean, no shit. Everybody that's thinking, okay, when you think Evolution, you think Triple H in them, you think of that stable, but you know, okay, putting that to the side, I am legitimately ecstatic as a person that has been a fan of women's wrestling, women being treated as equals to the men. I am very ecstatic that the women in the WWE are finally getting this opportunity. You are talking to somebody that, you know, back in the heydays, I would watch many different women's wrestling promotions, still do this very day. But when I was a teenager coming up, you know, I was checking out different women's promotions that were running around and I was just supporting them. And it was awesome seeing back then, you know, I mean, to be a teenager and all you're seeing at first from the flagship company known as WWE, all you're mainly seeing is bra and panty matches. And then when you see, you know, women like Mae Young, right? Alondra Blaze, you see all these other cool matches. You're going, wow, you know, I was kind of like a baby when these had went down. Wow, this is kind of cool. I wish we could get some women's wrestling like this. And then you kind of had, I would say, late 90s going into the mid 2000s is when really you had the rise of a lot of different women's promotions that were coming up and everything, you know, independently, you know, no men fighting on the cards and all that. It was just straight up all women. And to take notice of that and going, wow, you know, these women are totally kicking ass out there. This is badass, man. I love this. I mess with this. I love this. I'm eating this up, right? You know, you go, I want more. So to see all these different promotions, to see the shines, to see the shimmers, to see the WSUs, the WEWs, and all of them, you know, to see all of these promotions and many more doing so many great things, you're going, wow, you know, this is awesome. And then you got Ring of Honor. They eventually had launched the Women of Honor. For me, I always felt that WWE was behind the eight ball when it came to women's wrestling. I felt that they were behind the eight ball for many years, many years. And sometimes it would just be nerve-wracking for me and wondering, well, what's it going to take for WWE to finally wake up, really pay attention to what is going on in other promotions and other federations and everything, right? And take a cue. And yeah, you know, a lot of people want to say, oh, well, the hashtag give divas a chance. Everybody wants to go and look at that moment and everything. And you know what? We can go with that narrative. We can go on ahead and we can go with that narrative. But the truth is a combination of two things. I think, and it all ties to the same thing. I mean, let's make no mistake about it. Let's make no mistake about it. Women's wrestling, maybe not with the WWE, because there was a period in the WWE. We all can admit that there was a period in the WWE where, hey, look at the times that we're in right now, right? When you go in particular to that Attitude Era, right? Howard Stern, shock jock, you know, king of radio, was saying the type of stuff that he was saying. You had Jerry Springer running around, Sally Jesse Raphaels, Ricky Lakes. everything was just, oh my God, I can't believe I'm watching this. I got to tell all my friends about this. This is just insane. I shouldn't be watching this. This is too hot for TV, right? WWE, wanted to capitalize on what was going on in that time period. And, it just got to that point where, okay, the wrestling just, yeah, you can get away with some good wrestling depending, but man, you look at what's going on with the culture that was happening at that time. Sex was selling big time. Sex was selling big time. And for a lot of the wrestling promotions during that time period, they did reflect that. They reflected those times. So sadly, though, it took WWE a long time to kind of get away from that particular era. And then when they did get away from that era, you kept getting the BS 3 5-minute matches, and you're going, what the hell? What kind of crap was that? And if you really wanted to get your women's wrestling fix, you had to go to some of those other wrestling promotions that I had just named. So I would say that WWE has been behind the 8 ball when it comes to women's wrestling for many years now, and that it's about damn time that they finally caught up with the times. I know some people are looking at this news about a all WWE pay-per-view event and they're going, it's gonna fail, it's gonna bomb. I'm not really too sure about this, but look, everybody had to start somewhere. And you know what? I would like to believe that in order to succeed in life, there is no such thing as the perfect blueprint. You're going to have your fumbles along the way. The key, I feel, and I've always felt, and this is just a life lesson I've always been learning in general, and I've applied it to every single thing that I do. You must be prepared for those hits. You must be prepared for those misses. You must be prepared for success, and you must be prepared for failure. When you are in that position of failure, it's not doom and gloom. It's not the end of the world. You say, okay, legitimately, what worked? What didn't work? How can we improve? So for me, I feel that just off the talent alone, WWE has it for this all women's event. They definitely have the talent. And if you paid attention to some of the things that was said, as they repeated it over and over and over on Raw, I counted at least 6 times during the first hour. Lord only knows how many times during the second hour. They were a little bit more lighter on SmackDown tonight from the little bit I saw of SmackDown tonight. But they have the talent. They do have the talent. But I think it's kind of cool how, they did mention that there were going to be WWE Hall of Famers that were going to be participating in this event as well. I believe they mentioned Beth Phoenix. I believe they said Lita. I want to say maybe Trish Stratus. Not really sure about that, but and I would expect that. I would expect for these women to definitely appear at this. I'm rooting for this event to be a success. And I'll tell you what, man, we got All In that's going to be going down very, very soon. We also have Ring of Honor, New Japan Pro Wrestling. They've teamed up. They're going to be doing their thing at Madison Square Garden, WrestleMania weekend. We've got the AAA promotion. They're going to be doing their thing pretty soon at Madison Square Garden. So, I mean, this is a really good time to be a wrestling fan right now. It's in particular a wrestling fan that's looking for different alternatives. And I would just like to implore that anybody that has truly been a fan of women's wrestling and you've been wanting for years to see WWE do something with their women's division, all the people that have been saying for years upon years upon years, I'm definitely one of those people. Definitely represent. Come up out of your pockets, whether it's to get the subscription, check out the event, be there in person. I'm actually going to try to see if maybe I can attend this. I believe tickets are on sale right now. I'm pretty sure tickets are on sale right now based on what I had saw when they had first made the announcement. So I'm definitely going to try to see if I can go there. For those of you that may be a little bit curious, go on Ticketmaster and all that. But yeah, it's going to be happening in New York at the Nassau Coliseum on October 28th. And all the titles are going to be on the line. Every single women's title, the Raw women's title, the SmackDown women's title, the women's NXT title. Looks like you're also going to have a singles match for the WWE United Kingdom's Women's Championship. You heard me right. The WWE United Kingdom's Women's Championship. And you're going to have the 2018 Mae Young Classic Tournament Finals match. So, I mean, all that. I mean, that's going to be really awesome. I can't wait. Now, you know, as I said a few seconds ago, they have the talent to make this be a pretty awesome card, right? And I don't see any reason why they can't have all the women that's currently on their payroll right now be able to participate in this event. I don't see why. They should be able to get a good majority of these girls in it, right? But, you know, I was kind of marinating on it, and I kind of want to take it a step further from some of my colleagues out there and some things that some fans are putting out there. And I kind of want to go in a different direction with this, which is WWE can do something really, really special with this event. I personally feel, no doubt about it, this is going to be a yearly event, but I think where I'm going, WWE can make this be that much more meaningful, right? You're recognizing where women's wrestling has been, right? Where it is today and where it can go in the future. Yeah. And I think that's great when you have those eras all collide. But you know, something else that would make this be really, really special. I think that when it comes to these Evolution pay-per-view events, WWE should use this as an opportunity only at these events where it's all women, that not only is the spotlight put on the women and wrestling. Yes, you recognize those that came before you and everything, but you also take a moment to do a special Hall of Fame induction for a female wrestler. I think this is the perfect time. I think this is the perfect place to do it yearly, honestly. And I'm thinking about it and I'm saying to myself, you know what? If she were alive today and she had her act cleaned up and she was back in the good graces of the WWE, I know in my heart of hearts that without a doubt, Joni would probably be at this event. If everything was just aligned perfectly and bygones were bygones, what's past is past, let's talk business, let's make money, I feel China would be a part of this. And I think WWE can really do something special right here, only at these events, right? Bump the whole WrestleMania weekend. This is going to be, no. Here would be, you know, almost kind of do it like the Cauliflower Alley Club, you know, kind of what they're doing once a year and everything. I think this is the perfect opportunity for WWE once a year, guaranteed at these Evolution pay-per-view events. There's going to be a special female pro wrestler that will be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And I think if there was ever a time to do something with China, I think this would be the moment. That would be the perfect crowd to do it in front of. And all the people, all the female, you know, whether, you know, you want to talk about your Miss Elizabeths, you want to talk about your primetime Amy Lees. Yeah, there are so many women that could definitely go into the Hall of Fame. And you know what? I don't know if they would, at this point, I really don't legitimately know if they would get that nod WrestleMania Hall of Fame weekend. I really don't know if they would get that nod at this point. But, you know, who said, let's shake it up a little bit. Who said you had to wait until basically WrestleMania weekend to do your Hall of Fame? You should be able to sporadically, as you see fit, take the time out to, okay, hey, we're gonna, we're gonna have this person go into our Hall of Fame. And I think honestly, with these Evolution pay-per-view events, that's pretty much how you're able to do it. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But if they want to make these events even that much more special, that's even something else really cool that they can do. I hope that as far as commentators go, I would hope that it's going to be an all female commentating event. If you ask me if I really wanted to see Jim Ross, I got a lot of respect for Jim Ross. I do. I think he is freaking tremendous. I really do. But I actually don't want to see Jim Ross on commentating for this one. If you're going to do a straight up all women's, then I think honestly that's how you need to keep it. Now, some of you guys may be saying, well, damn, Lee, if you're going to have it be a straight up all, who exactly would you get for commentators, to cover this? I thought Beth Phoenix did a decent job. I thought Lita did a decent job as well. But there is one announcer I'm thinking of that would probably be good. She's on the tip of my tongue right now. It's on the tip of my tongue. I can see the face. I can see her hair. Every time I've checked out the promotion and I've checked out the commentating, I always felt that she did a really good job. I'm actually trying to see if I can look her up right now. And sadly, I do not see her. I want to say, I don't think that's her. I want to say Lexi Faye. I'm not sure. I kind of need you guys' help from the Shine wrestling promotion. You guys that are fans of the Shine women's promotion. There was a female that was commentating for a hot minute. I would love to see her maybe get the honors to offer commentating, on that. I think that would be pretty badass. But I'm sure, they got plenty of time. Hey, you can always go with maybe Renee Young. I know Renee Young said commentating is not really her strong point, but I actually enjoyed what she was doing in NXT briefly. So I would have no problem with a Renee Young throwing it down. So, but go get them, girls. I'm really hoping that everything goes rather smoothly. And, they're doing it, like as I mentioned, at the Nassau Coliseum. A lot of rich wrestling history is there at that. When you look at the history for that venue, you go as far back as WrestleMania 2. And when you look at that card from WrestleMania 2, my God, they had part of WrestleMania 2 at the Nassau Coliseum. One match in particular, you had Mr. T take on Rowdy Piper. It was pretty much a boxing match, if you guys recall. So a lot of history. WWE been doing history at that arena for the past 30 years. And not to mention the Nassau Coliseum, it recently went through some renovation. Renovation was done in 2015 and it wrapped up just last year. So, I mean, from what I was able to gather so far, from talking to a few people that have attended some events out there, they say, it's compared to how it looked before and everything. That's pretty cool experience and everything. They did a pretty good job with the upkeep and all that. So I'm not hearing, glorious. I'm not hearing anything like that, but they're saying, hey, they did a much better job with it. So go girls. I'm rooting you all on. I will definitely be watching, but I think with regards to actually me being in a position where I'm going to be coming on that night and I'm going to be talking about that event, I don't think so. I think for that show, I actually might be behind the scenes. And there are two women I have in mind, maybe three, that will probably be in my place for the post show while I'm in the background, just making sure the audio, everything is going good from the tech standpoint. So I've got to get with the girls and I've got to see if maybe they would be up for doing it. But I think like that would be pretty badass. The one time out of the year where let me step aside and let me really give it to the ladies. Let me give the ladies some dab, Hope you guys are enjoying the show so far. If you are, smash that like button. If you're new, welcome. Do subscribe so you never miss out on all the great content that comes your way on a week-to-week basis. Lee Sanders is the name. RCWR Show is the name, covering the latest in wrestling, entertainment, and beyond since 2011. Got some interesting news to share with you guys. I don't want to get everybody's hopes up just yet, but I have begun preliminary talks with someone that is in charge of a pretty big company, I would have to say. And they have worked with the likes of Jim Ross and a boatload of other people. And this person is who is in charge of this company is very interested in seeing about possibly having the RCWR show be incorporated with them. What does that mean? It could mean that we could be doing a show for them. What I'm not really sure about, and we're going to be talking over some more logistics this week. I don't know if it means that they would take the RCWR show itself in addition to everything else that we're doing, or if it's a situation where maybe they would want an exclusive new show for them. But you know, I reached out to them, and I said, I really wasn't going to, but I said, you know what, let me try something. So I reached out to them and told them what was going on, and they were like, yeah, I like what I'm getting. I like what I'm hearing. Okay, this is good. All right. Well, look, we definitely need to talk then, and so I'm going to be talking with them this week. So we'll see how that plays out. Keep your fingers crossed, but I may have a big announcement that I'll be making on next week's show. We will see. But I tell you what, man, if this deal falls through, my God, it can open up so many more avenues. It's not even funny. I mean, I would welcome it. I would love that opportunity, if we can get picked up by them, because they let it be strictly known that, and I don't want you guys thinking podcast network, because they are interested in podcasts, but they want flesh and bones. They don't want audio. They actually want the visual presentation itself. And so we're going to try to see how that plays out with our talk. I don't know when I'm supposed to be talking to them. I want to say maybe it's Wednesday, not really sure, but do keep your fingers crossed. And like I said, next week, we'll definitely follow up, let you guys know how that comes about. Yeah. So let's get into some other stuff that's been going down since last we were on the air. So we talked a little bit about Raw. I don't think there's really anything else significant from Raw that we really need to be going into. Yeah, I mean, for God's sake, man, you had the first hour that only got you 3 matches, right? A lot of talking. First hour, only 3 matches. Second hour, if I remember it right, I believe you had 5 matches that went down. I lost track after the third hour, but we pretty much talked about the meat and potatoes from Raw this week. Yeah. One thing I do want to touch upon: WWE creative, WWE writers, bookers, please do me a solid. And I put this out as soon as their tag match had wrapped up. Never, ever, ever have the Authors of Pain talk again. The mystique about, look, it's bad enough as it is. It's bad enough as it is. When these two guys first come out, or when they used to come out, these guys had like the whole, anybody that's a video gamer, are you guys familiar with the Army of Two franchise? And the guys that's running around with the armor, they kind of got like this fake meow crossbones from Marvel Comics type of gear going on. All right, you're like, okay, wow, these two are badasses. Okay, so that's how AOP was coming out, right? And then slowly but surely, they start ditching that type of stuff, and now we're just at this point where they're coming out and they're not pushing those helmets anymore. I think now they're coming out wearing bandanas over their face, or their lower part of their face or whatever. But like, it's bad enough you strip all that away. You take away Paul Ellering, right? Good mouthpiece for them. they look like such, yes, they're big. Yes, they are big. I will give them that. But they don't have this menacing looking, I'm gonna kill you face. They just don't have that. They look like the type of guys. Okay, you know how their faces, what their faces remind me of? Their faces remind me of the Twizzler commercials, right? You can try all you want. You can make that mean ass mug, right? You can do that all you want. But all I got to do is just put a goddamn Twizzler in your face, wiggle it, and you're going to start busting up laughing and you're going to eat you a goddamn Twizzlers, right? That's literally how they come off to me, right? So they don't look intimidating for the height and the bulk that they have. Just face wise, they look very baby like. They just come off very young. And I don't know if maybe a situation could occur where maybe they need to grow more facial hair. Maybe they need to just grow, full beards or whatnot. And maybe that could kind of help them out just a little bit or what. But seeing these two guys open their mouths, first off, who has their hands up in the air saying, ooh, 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 as far as who I want to see take on the Authors of Pain? Let's see him feud with Titus O'Neil and Apollo Crews. Yeah, that'll get people talking. My God, every single time these teams have been locking it up in the ring, it has been crickets. Fans have been feeling very indifferent. Okay. Oh my God. Look, man, Titus O'Neil, Apollo Crews, great guys, especially all the great charity work, publicity work that Titus O'Neil does. Can't nobody take that away from him. That is great for him. That's great what he does outside of the ring. Fantastic. But you know what? I got to talk about what's going on with once they're inside the ring. And the fans could honestly, I won't say could care less, but it's ice cold with regards to Titus O'Neil and Apollo Crews. So you match them up, you pair them up with AOP. That's not good, man. That is not good whatsoever. Wrong booking, just not smart booking as far as I'm concerned. Honestly, I think one of the things that should have happened, maybe you originally should have had AOP feud against Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy. If anybody could have really used a rub, it could have been AOP. Do you maybe have AOP lose to the B team? Hell no, but I think it would have made a lot much more sense to, maybe just to pick up a little bit of steam, maybe have them feud with Hardy and Wyatt initially. And I'm just not liking what's going on right now. I'm just not. But to hear these big, muscular looking, thick dudes talk, go back and watch the promos that they had cut this week. It was horrendous. It was, I won't say in all my years, but I actually had to rewind. I had to say, did I just hear one of them speak? And did one of them actually sound like Drizzles? And I actually rewinded back. And it was, yes, that is the case. Not enough charisma, not enough personality being channeled out just yet. I need to see these guys. Not everybody, as far as I'm concerned, in WWE needs to pick up a microphone and needs to talk. You can continue to let there be some type of mystique about them. Seriously. So I hope that sooner rather than later, they get some type of a mouthpiece. As far as maybe who I'd love to see be a mouthpiece, you could go with Zelina Vega. You could maybe go with Paul Heyman. That's if you can get him to stick around just a little bit longer. You could always go with Vicky Guerrero if she ever decides she has that itch and wants to come back, even if it's temporary, just for a couple of months, just to help really get these two young guys over. Yeah. But those are the names off the break. Hell, man, I'm not really sure where things are with regards to. I was going to put an honorable mention in there for Ricardo Rodriguez, but I don't think that would really work out with AOP. I think a Ricardo Rodriguez would maybe work a little bit better with maybe say not the Sin Cara dude. Cien Almas is who I'm thinking of. Just going over who else is there that you could maybe pair him up with. Manager wise, there's not really more managers that's coming to mind right now. You could maybe do Lana. You can maybe do Lana. You could probably get away with that a little bit. But the list is very, very short right now. God, what I'd give. Damn, now that's a good one. What I would give to see Jim Cornette manage Authors of Pain. Holy godmother. That would be badass. That would be freaking badass. I would, you know what? I would give anything to see Jim Cornette manage the Authors of Pain. Jim Cornette with a new wardrobe. Jim Cornette coming out there wearing all black. He is just the man in black. Got that whole Johnny Cash vibe going on and everything. Yeah, I would. Yeah, that's my ranking right there. I would go with Jim Cornette, number 1. I would go with Zelina Vega, number 2. My number 3 would be Vicky Guerrero. No, actually, no. Let's change that again. So Jim Cornette would stay at number 1. Paul Heyman would be at number 2. Zelina Vega would be at number 3. Vicky Guerrero would be at number 4. Lana would be at number 5. That is the direction that I would go. So I see that the SummerSlam card so far, we were kind of talking about that a little bit earlier. For those of you that might be a little bit curious, here's some of the matches that we got so far, and we'll kind of tie it into SmackDown a little bit. All right, so for the Universal title, as we alluded to earlier, we got Brock Lesnar defending it against Roman Reigns. Alexa Bliss defends the Raw Women's title against Ronda Rousey. Becky Lynch won her match tonight on SmackDown against Carmella. As a result of that, Carmella will have to defend the SmackDown Women's title against Becky Lynch at SummerSlam. So now you got Carmella taking on Becky Lynch for the title. Dolph Ziggler will be facing Seth Rollins again for the Intercontinental title. Braun Strowman will take on Kevin Owens. If Strowman loses, don't matter if it's by submission, it can be pinfall, it could be disqualification or count out. Kevin Owens will win if that any of those happen to Braun. So you talk about deck being stacked against you. Bludgeon Brothers, they will be taking on a tag team to be determined for the SmackDown tag titles. Announced on tonight's SmackDown, it is going to be AJ Styles defending the SmackDown championship, or sorry, the WWE championship. He'll be defending that against Samoa Joe. And it was interesting what went down on SmackDown tonight, because at one point we had James Ellsworth come out as Paige was trying to reveal who AJ's opponent would be for SummerSlam, and James Ellsworth came out taking cracks at Paige. I was a little bit kind of concerned there, because I was under the impression that maybe James Ellsworth was gonna make fun of Paige's weight. So I cringed a little bit when James Ellsworth said, well, Paige, look at you. I mean, look at you. You're the joke. And I'm going, where are we going here? Because if we're going to make fun of her ways, like, I don't have a problem with her weight now. She's nice and thick in the right places. Come on now. Let's not go there. But he made fun of her complexion instead. We saw Paige. Hey, Ellsworth, got 2 words for you. You're fired. And you're going, so is this really the end of James Ellsworth? I mean, only time will tell. We'll have to wait and see what comes about at SummerSlam. But I mean, it would be far too early for me to sound off right now. But can I just tell you from a distance how it's made me feel since James Ellsworth has been back? We remember James Ellsworth when he was one of the early victims of Braun Strowman, and that's kind of what ultimately had put him on the map, so to speak, in the first go round when he was with the WWE. feuding there with AJ and everything. That all was good. But, eventually when the fans have pretty much seen everything there is to be seen, with this guy, you go into a situation where it's okay, well, what more can you do with the guy? And don't get me wrong, the first rodeo when he was with Carmella, I mean, they just gelled very well together. They really, really did. And Carmella at that time, yeah, she did need James Ellsworth, but I personally felt that even though Carmella is below average in the ring, I still feel that she can, personality wise, at this point, at this stage in her career, she can carry herself now, as opposed to when she was paired up with Ellsworth, right? So, for me, God bless James Ellsworth. James Ellsworth. I mean, I can't feel too sorry for the guy because, I mean, he's tearing it up on the independents. He's constantly being booked. He's making his rounds and everything. So, I mean, you really can't feel too sorry for him. If it's truly the end of James Ellsworth once again in the WWE, I say, you know what? I don't feel bad because his phone's going to be blowing up. So I think for now we'll just have to wait and see, try to figure out if James is going to play any type of an impact, if at all, with that Becky Lynch Carmella match, or if that's truly it, if he truly is done, and if that is truly the last time that we will be seeing him. But just 2 cents from a distance, I think a lot of us would definitely be willing to admit, just with our own two eyes, with what we've been seeing of him on TV the past couple of weeks, it's not quite there. That he's not quite entertaining, if you will. Whatever was there that first go round leading up to him teaming up with Carmella, it's just not there anymore, sadly. It's just not. So I still wish the guy nothing but the best, because from what I understand, he's a very nice, very likable dude. Really, really totally fucking cool. Does not let the 15 minutes of fame that he's been able to obtain get to his head. Very humble dude. Yeah. One other thing I wanted to get into here, I'm sure by now, and I see a question in the chat about, is it time for China to go into the WWE Hall of Fame? The same question could be asked about Owen Hart. The same question could be asked about Miss Elizabeth. The same question could be asked about for a lot of people. There's always the right time. I think the real question that everybody needs to be asking themselves is, when is WWE going to put these people in? It's always a good time to put any of your favorites that you can think of into the Hall of Fame. The real question is, when is WWE? We can give our estimates and be like, oh, do you think it should happen this year? Or do you think it? There's always a good time. Never say never. Anytime is a good time. And it just doesn't have to be, as I said earlier, and for you guys that had missed it, I had a really good idea with regards to China. So for you guys in particular on YouTube that's watching the stream, you can now rewind it back, even practically to the beginning, to catch up on what all you had missed. So you'll definitely appreciate what I had to say with regards to China earlier, as I did touch upon that. But, keeping up with the talk of Hall of Fames, and I did tease Owen Hart there. I'm sure you guys, it's been well documented for many years now how Martha Hart is just hell-bent on not allowing the WWE to induct Owen Hart into the Hall of Fame. She doesn't want to have any and everything to do with the WWE. She has tried to take them to court a couple of times when she felt as though these guys were using his name and likeliness to, make a profit off of him. And, she has just been feuding with them, and it's got multiple people on different sides of the Hart family going, what the hell is going on? Of course, Bret Hart being the most vocal, saying, look, before he was your husband, he was my brother. So if anybody really knows about the man, it's me. Bret, he's really, and I get it, man. I mean, you can't really help but feel for Bret Hart. You can't help but feel for Bret Hart from the standpoint of Bret could possibly be leaving this earth within maybe the next 10, 15 years, 20 tops, and he'll never be able to see his baby brother go into the Hall of Fame. He'll never be able to have that moment in representing the Hart family, being on that podium, looking at the massive amounts of people, the peers and everybody that grew up, working with Owen, right? He's not going to have that opportunity to speak to the massive amounts of Owen's peers and the fans that have done their part in keeping his name alive over the years. Yeah, many, many years upon years. And that's a tough pill to swallow. I totally I get that, where Bret Hart is possibly coming from and wanting to see some type of resolution come about, right? And you don't need to get into the whole spiel about, well, this week Bret Hart said this, and then a couple of days later Martha said that. It's just well documented. I'm just bringing it up because past 2 weeks they've been getting into it again. And it just led me, I teased this idea earlier, but I didn't expand upon it any further. And I really want to expand upon it right now because I want to take this a step further than people saying, oh, Martha, just loosen up already. I want to take it a step further than that. If Martha, and I really hope that the Hart family finds this. Lord knows there's been a few members of the Hart family over the years that have come across my interview with Julie Hart, and Julie Hart, the first, the ex-wife there of Bret Hitman Hart. And a great interview that I did with her many years ago. I would highly recommend you guys check it out. It's on the guest exclusive section on the YouTube page of the RCWR show. Very wet behind the ears, as far as really starting to find my niche, my groove, as far as interviewing people and everything. You can tell how inexperienced I was, but it was sincerely a really great conversation that I had with Julie Hart, because it wasn't so much an interview, right? It was more like a conversation that you were listening in on, and it was great. But I've had a lot of people from the Hart family either comment or send me a private message and everything. So I really hope that what I'm getting ready to say, it finds them, and this can begin to catch some type of fire and eventually get back to Martha, because I'm curious how she would counter this. But if Martha really feels that WWE at this point, they are going to try to do any and everything to monetize on the likeliness off of the career of Owen Hart, right? If they just want to do this just to be patting themselves on the back and all this other crap, I have a simple solution to all of this. I say, Martha, give the Hart family what they want. Give them the proper closure that they need. Give the people that worked with Owen Hart in and out of that ring all the way up until his unfortunate passing. Just a sad passing that it was at that. Give them the opportunity to properly be able to have closure as well. And I say, go ahead and do the Hall of Fame, but do the Hall of Fame under these conditions. Number one, it is a private Hall of Fame ceremony. What I mean by that is every single, year we get the, okay, these people are going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Here's the 8, 9, 10, 12 people that's going to be in the Hall of Fame this year, right? And we know that that's going to always be streaming on the WWE network, and then later it streams on the USA network, right? And then afterwards, a couple of months down the road, it eventually makes its way to DVD, and you can go pick it up wherever, right? Well, no, 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 no. I say that with regards to Owen Hart, sometime out of the year, just one time out of the year, way before WrestleMania weekend, way before, months and months before, you let it be a situation where you rent out some nice fancy little restaurant, kind of go back to the old days, the way that they used to do it. You have you eat at this nice restaurant, or have some nice catering that comes there, or what have you, and there's a nice little stage, and almost kind of reminds me of the DC Improv, basically. For those of you that maybe have gone to your fair share of improv clubs, basically, you could do it like that, and it's private that way. That way it is for the family, it is for close friends of the family. You could definitely limit the amount of media that would be there to cover the event. You could definitely have your Dave Meltzer. You could also have your Bill Apter, right? You can have the USA Today. You could have Washington Post. Your main, top 10 media outlets. Definitely get your representation for the wrestling outlets, the well-respected ones that's going to tell it correctly, right down the middle, right? But let it be closed off that way. Maybe you could have just a few seats available for fans, but this is really a intimate type of ceremony that you're going to be doing, right? No filming is allowed whatsoever. That's how you can do it. If Martha is really concerned about WWE trying to make a profit and all of this other stuff, then I would say, okay, Martha, if you're really that concerned about WWE just trying to make a profit off your late husband any way that they can get, then have them agree to these terms, right? Another thing that you can add into the kitty, if they do want to film this event, then guess what? This event, by no circumstances, can it stream on the WWE network, on WWE social media pages, including YouTube, right? No, can't go that route. You want to put that on DVD? Okay, here's what's going to have to happen. If you want to put that on DVD, 100% of profits. And you can have Martha's lawyers, auditors, and all that be able to look at everything, account every single dollar, accounted for. All right. But you can have 100% of all proceeds from the DVDs that sell exclusively for Owen Hart's Hall of Fame induction ceremony. You can have the proceeds go to Martha's Foundation. I mean, you talk about a win-win situation. All right. I don't know what much more. It doesn't get any sweeter than that, as far as I'm concerned. I think once you lay those conditions out, one would have to say, so Martha, what do you say? If WWE is even willing to meet you on these conditions, would you then accept Owen Hart going into the Hall of Fame? Like, now it's really time for you to put your money where your mouth is. Are you really that concerned about WWE making some type of a profit and everything that, and I get that. Could you agree to do a Hall of Fame under these conditions? Or are you that hurt? Is your heart that broken? Because in your eyes, even though it was an accident, his death could and should have been prevented, that you just can't let it go. I think once you get to that real fine line right there, only Martha in her heart can really answer that question. and she's still a relatively young woman. So for those of you that's going, well, surely we won't have to deal with her in a couple of more years. Martha's still a pretty young woman. I believe she's only 50, 51 years of age. I remember checking a couple of weeks ago, and I'm going, and she looks relatively healthy. She looks like she's in her mid to late 40s. So I mean, she's aged very well over the years, as far as I'm concerned. So, for those of you that's maybe hoping that, maybe a couple of more years and, maybe they, won't have to deal with her. Maybe they can deal with the kids because they're getting up there in age now. They're now coming of age. They're now, starting to become young adults and everything. Maybe they can be the icebreakers that WWE fans and the WWE is looking for. But I'm very curious what Martha would say under those conditions. And, my challenge to anybody that is able to be in a position where you can interview Martha Hart, credit what I'm saying here today and be like, hey, here's a really good idea. We heard this from, Lee Sanders of the RCWR Show, the first guy to really put this out there. What do you think? Could you agree to terms like that? It's like, how do you turn terms down like that? You want to talk about monetary? You think they're going to make a buck off you? Okay, here you go. Here's the counter for that. What do you got now? What do you have to say now? I'm just very, very curious. And, I've talked about this off and on over the years, and I've never been one to pick a side. I understand both sides of the coin, especially with regards to where Martha is coming from. It's very sad. It's very unfortunate, but at some point, you got to let that go, because if you continue to harbor it, it just manifests into this black, ugly thing that results in you not living life and not really properly having that closure that you so desperately need. So fingers crossed, man. I mean, stranger things have happened in this world. So I see that Jerry the King Lawler, he recently had put a message out on social media, and he said that everybody should pray for Howard Finkle. You guys remember Howard Finkle? Yeah, Howard Finkle, legendary WWE announcer. He basically had said everybody should keep Howard in your thoughts and your prayers because his health not doing too good. Really, 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 really bad. And if you guys remember the last time that we had saw Howard Finkle, it was on Raw 25 where he was introducing The Undertaker. And I tell you, and I'm not making fun of the guy by any means, speaking as somebody that is a type 2 diabetic, managing your diabetes, weight gain and all that, it can be very challenging, very, very challenging, especially when you've grown up and you're so used to having a sweet tooth, and then you got to retrain your body and everything. So take it from me, I'm definitely not making fun of Howard Finkle, but it seems like by the year, Howard has picked up more and more and more weight that he is just flat out obese. For a guy his height, and he's not a tall guy. He's a short guy. He looks like he's probably at most maybe 5'7", possibly 5'6". He's a short guy. So for him to be packing the amount of weight that he's packing, that is not good. That eventually, I just really want our younger audience to understand the ramifications of packing the type of weight that a Howard Finkle is packing for that respected height that he's at, and to be that up there in age. That's detrimental to your spine because that's a lot of weight that you're asking your body to carry. So spine is going to be feeling a lot of that. Thighs, knees, ankles can lead to serious problems, okay? Not to mention diabetes, heaven forbid if it's type 1 diabetes, because depending on the progression of the type 1 diabetes, you may need to get insulin shots and all that. And that's not exactly good. So, I really hope that, if there was ever a situation where I'd like to see maybe a Richard Simmons or a DDP come into play for Howard Finkle, it would definitely be now before it's too late, because I don't know what's going on with that guy, man. But I swear to God, every time I see him, year after year, he gets bigger and bigger. And my biggest fear right now is that the weight is going to get so out of control that Howard Finkel is going to be bedridden. I mean, he's going to be so obese. You're going to eventually see him on TLC, and he's going to be bedridden. He's going to have his meals and all that brought to him. He's not going to be able to get out of the bed. He's not going to be able to use the bathroom. And yeah, I mean, that's the point. I legit, I'm that concerned about the guy. I must have been. And I remember saying a little something on social media when it came to Raw 25. I said, my God, man, Howard don't look good. I was like, what the hell is going on with him? And yeah, I've never have liked how over the years, the few times Howard would pop up, I never did like how they would poke fun of his weight and everything. You know, for some people, you get old and it's like, hey, what have I got to prove? You know, I made my money, I made my fame, I'm getting up there in age, I'm old, I'm just living a good life. Some people say that, when you get that old and you're packing the pounds like that, you're just enjoying life. You're happy. You're happy with, who you are. You're comfortable in your own skin, basically. But there's that, and then there's no, you really, really need to take care of yourself, especially if you want to live, a really good, productive life, and you want to be able to do the simple things like, gee, I don't know, go for a walk your dog, vacuum, the simple things, man, the simple things. So definitely keep him in your thoughts and prayers, man. Also, shout out to CM Punk. CM Punk and AJ Lee, they are going to be involved in a movie. I don't know when production is going to begin, but they're going to be doing a remake from a 1977 film. And I'm a sucker for movies from the 70s, especially blaxploitation films. But they're going to be involved in a 1977 horror film remake of Rapid. So the directors for this one is the same guys that worked with, I want to stress that, worked with WWE Studios to bring Vendetta and See No Evil 2. So they're going to be partnering up with those guys for that. They're going to be playing a couple in that movie, apparently. So, kudos to them. I'm really happy for them. It's nice to see that after the whole UFC debacle that had went down with Punk, that he has continued to rebound quite nicely and is doing really good, solid things. And while we're talking about CM Punk, we've got August right around the corner. The RCWR show is going to be hitting the road once again. Going to be going to that same old place, sweet home, Chicago. Going to be going to the old stomping grounds. And I gotta try to talk with my boy Missionary Thomas from Wrestling Soup, man, because I would definitely want to do something with him while I'm out there. I don't know if maybe we could do like a special live web stream edition of the RCWR show where me and Mish are just shooting the shit. I think you guys would definitely thoroughly enjoy that, especially if you guys had enjoyed me appearing on their show a couple of months back. I know that would be a lot of fun and everything, especially just loose talk, talking Chicago, talking sports music and all that. So I'm pretty sure that would be badass. So I got to get with him real soon, see what's going on with his schedule, how it's looking and everything. But going to be taking part in the CM Punk meet and greet. Got me thinking recently, as early as this week. I was actually on the WWE.com website. And I don't know if you guys had saw it or how frequent you all are WWE shoppers yourself or shop customers, but they had 50% off I want to say the commemorative titles and 25% off the exact replicas. And I'm looking at it and I'm going, wow, that would be really badass for CM Punk to sign. And then I had a very interesting thought that popped in my head, which is it wrong to have CM Punk sign a WWE piece of memorabilia? Is it wrong? I mean, on the one hand, just hear me out for a second. And I know some people are going to say that's a stupid question. Like, why would you just hear me out for a second, right? So he was involved in this company where there was a good portion of years that were very kind to him, but you also had that period that ultimately led to him saying, screw this company. I'm done with these guys. If they're going to be treating me like this, I don't want to have anything to do with them. Hell, for that matter, I really don't want to have anything to do with anyone that's associated with this company because of all the crap that this company had put me through. Screw these guys. All respect to the fans, but screw these guys. So I'm just picturing, and just close your eyes. Everybody, close your eyes right now. Just listen to my voice. Picture this in your mind, right? Even those of you that's going to be listening to this on the downloads and everything, just close your eyes. Picture this, if you will. You're in line. You're waiting to see CM Punk. You're going, man, I can't wait to get his autograph. I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait. You go up to that line. You shake CM Punk's hand. You hand him a WWE title, or you hand him a shirt from WWE that was on the WWE store at one point. Now it's no longer available. Okay. You hand him a WWE DVD, for some pay-per-view that he was part of, or maybe you hand him his Best in the World DVD, right? And you're trying to get that autograph. Now, one could make the argument, well, to a degree, Punk should still be receiving some type of residuals, yeah? Or did he negate that by the way he conducted himself with the WWE? But just knowing the crap that he had went through, is it wrong to have CM Punk sign WWE memorabilia? Now, I would like to believe that we're probably going to be a bit divided. I would not be surprised and I'm very curious what the Epic Sports community thinks about this one, because I would like to believe that just when we combine the Epic Sports Nation community and the RCWR Nation, that you're probably going to have a majority of fans say, I don't really see a problem with it, but I wouldn't be surprised if you have some fans that feel, well, from a moral standpoint, yeah, it is kind of messed up because you're rubbing a company in his face that he doesn't work for any longer, bitter feelings over it. Yeah, it is kind of messed up that you're kind of shoving that in his face. Yeah, it is. Especially, sadly, you're going to have some knuckleheads that's going to be coming to this event in Chicago that's going to be taking these same items and they're going to be going to eBay. And that's just so wrong, I personally feel, because it gives folks like me the bad rep of a bad rep because we're legitimately doing it right. We're legitimately getting autographs that, okay, it's not made out to a particular person. It's just, all right, I got the John Hancock and, it's hanging on my wall proudly or whatever. So, I just thought that would be a very good question to ask you guys, gauge you all's interest, see where you guys are with that one. So I'm curious what the outcome of that is. So share your thoughts all throughout social media. By the way, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, use the keywords, the RCWR Show. A couple of more topics I want to get into as we get ready to wind on down here. Hey, shout out to Impact Wrestling. Impact Wrestling, they had their Slammiversary event, and I heard from a lot of people that it was a fantastic card. I sadly did not watch the event yet. I did. There's no excuse, but I was working pretty hard over here on a couple of different projects, so I sadly was not able to check out the event. But a lot of people were saying that this was one of the best pay-per-views that Impact Wrestling has put out and produced in quite some time. Some would make the argument within the past 2 to 3 years for sure. Just this calendar year alone, the best event that they put out there. Just some quick notes. Johnny Impact, he had defeated Phoenix, Tajiri, Ishimori, and Petey Williams in a fatal four-way. Tessa Blanchard defeated Allie in a singles match. Eddie Edwards defeated Tommy Dreamer in a House of Hardcore Rules match. Brian Cage defeated Matt Sydal for the X Division Championship. Su Yung defeated Madison Rayne for the Impact Knockouts Championship. So there goes Madison Rayne's storied ending, if you will. The LAX, they had defeated the OGs, that OGs consisting of Hernandez and Homicide. It was a 51-50 street fight for the Impact World Tag titles. Pentagon Jr. took on Semi Callahan. It was mask versus hair. Pentagon Jr. won. So as a result of that, Sami Callahan lost the hair, and Austin Aries had defeated Moose for the Impact World Championship. I'm going to try to see if I can actually watch Slammiversary. I believe now they're on Slammiversary 16. I'm actually going to try to see if I can check that out. But at this point, I don't know. I think I might go for a torrent or some other means to check it out, because by the time I heard about the pay-per-view, I'm going, oh, because I'm so used to them streaming stuff on Twitch these days. When I heard about the pay-per-view, I'm going, oh my God, I totally forgot about that. And I saw the price tag for it. And, we're in a day and age right now where we're trying to save enough money as it is, for the simple fact, think about it. If you still have cable satellite, 9 times out of 10, you're paying somewhere between $150 to a little bit over $200 a month, especially if you have your TV, your internet, and your phone bundled. Then you're probably paying somewhere in that range every single month. Heaven forbid if you have a cell phone bill. Depending on which provider you're with, you may get your satellite hookup for your TV and all that for free, but depending on who your cell phone provider is and how many people are on that line, you could be paying anywhere between $80, especially when it comes to what all features you want on your phone, right? You want your phone to have hotspot capabilities, you want to have unlimited data. You could be paying anywhere between $80 to almost $200. Just depends on the type of plan and how many people are, part of that plan. All right. So that's pretty expensive. You're pretty stretched out as it is. Add on top of that some of your financial responsibilities. And then, okay, you're shelling out a little bit of extra cash for the WWE Network, New Japan Pro Wrestling Network, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, and the money just starts to thin and thin and thin and thin out, that you really don't have the cash to be sparing, quite honestly. So, to hear that we're in this day and age right now, and Impact Wrestling is telling folks, hey, look, $40 pay-per-view. What do you say, buddy boy? And you're going, no, that's too expensive. I always have a chuckle with some of my friends and co-workers that, are into the pro wrestling. And we have a chuckle sometimes when we talk about some of these WWE pay-per-views and New Japan Pro Wrestling pay-per-views. And we go, God, it's so great to no longer be paying $40, $50, $60 for a pay-per-view, and you get 10 matches, right? And you only end up enjoying 3 of the damn matches out of the 10, right? So, Impact Wrestling, I would say, I mean, it's weird because Impact Wrestling, they did launch the GFN, right? Was it Global Force Network? They did launch that not too long ago. Come on, start really properly utilizing that bad boy, man. I think honestly, for those that have the GFN app and all that, if they signed up, they're a member, and that should be like $15 discount or something, so they could be able to check out the pay-per-view via maybe that app or whatever. So come on, guys, let's get to it already. Some other stuff I want to get into before we get ready to wrap it up here. Maria Kanellis, she stated online that she is going to be returning hopefully soon back to the WWE, as she's going to be reporting back to the Performance Center next week. So she honestly, She looked phenomenal when she was pregnant, and I know she's been working really hard trying to get back in shape and everything. And all I gotta say is take your time, baby. Take your time. Do it right. Huh, we can do it, baby. Do it all night. Sorry, I don't know why I got SOS on my brain right now, but I do, man. I do. And also, we need to put a clarification out there on Ayako Hamada, the daughter of Grand Hamada. Originally, you had all the dirt sheets and everybody was jumping out there, pretty much copy and paste, saying the same goddamn thing, which was, oh, she's been arrested. She is going to have to do 18 months in jail, and everybody was just doing copy and pasting, copy and pasting. Shout out to Diva Dirt. You know, these guys actually do, some really damn good digging, and they're pretty well connected, and they were able to get, the actual legit story out there. So Ayako Amada is actually not doing 18 months in prison right now. And just to kind of recap, for those of you that maybe aren't familiar with her, I promise you, if you look up her name, you'll recognize her very briefly. For you Impact Wrestling fans, she did pass through that promotion. She's pretty much been wrestling since the late 1980s. I want to say maybe like around 98. I said 80s. Forgive me, guys. I brain fart there. Late 90s, I was trying to say, like 98 going into 99, basically. And right now, she is under a 3-year probation period in Japan because of having possession of stimulant drugs. So just to recap and put a nice, pretty little bow on this, you got to go as far back as May. Hamada had called the Sendai girls staff to tell them that she was not going to be able to wrestle because she was attacked by 4 men with knives. The company had called the police to basically have the police do a proper investigation and everything. And then when it was the police, they were a little bit rattled because they're kind of going, you don't seem quite right. Are you okay? You kind of seem like maybe you're under the influence. Are we going to find any type of drug paraphernalia? Like, what's going on? And, she complied, came clean, told them what all was going on. And, she was arrested. The wrestling promotion, they pretty much fired her and was like, you know what, after this, we don't want to have anything else to do with you. Like, forget this. You're done. You're no longer under contract to us. So you then apparently the cops, they have found stimulants or whatever. I think there were stimulants also in her home in Japan or whatever. And 2 months later, the police department, they basically has sentenced her to 3 years of probation. So if she violates that probation, then she's going to go to jail for 18 months. But she is on probation right now. And as you would imagine, pretty embarrassed by what had went down, especially tracing her bloodline and everything. 37 years of age, she pretty much had jumped out there and said, at this point in my life, in my career, I'm just going to go on ahead. I'm going to retire from professional wrestling, and I'm going to move on to the next phase in my life. I think at this point, I would probably be better as a translator / interpreter, because I know English and Japanese. I speak both and write in both very fluently, so I could probably help out other people. So, and that's actually pretty profitable, if you really stay dedicated to it, and you really hone your craft. I mean, when you're already in a position where you're very efficient in speaking and writing, yes, it can be lucrative, but I'm thinking, you could be like at those council meetings or whatever, at those embassy meetings, and you're listening in on hearings, things of that nature, and a translator is needed. I mean, there's some serious money right there. Kind of depends on who you know and just exactly what type of resume you have, your educational background and all of that. So it's rather unfortunate that her wrestling career is pretty much just, like that. But the culture out there in Japan, it is pretty it is pretty different as opposed to the United States. In the United States, if that's something that you are really passionate about, unless you are a politician or whatever, you're going to keep going at it. But in Japan, it's I would, it's the stakes are pretty high, basically, in a nutshell. It's like, man, that's just dishonorable. You need to go go freaking kill yourself. I mean, it's kind of like on that type of scale. So, it's sad that her wrestling career is pretty much ending this prematurely, but I mean, it is what it is, man. Also, how many of you guys remember the beautiful and thick? She was a thick, and I say that in a very complimentary way, because I do like him thick, man. I'm talking about Piper Nevin. How many of you guys remember her from the Mae Young Classic? She was the cute face, thick blonde girl, about 27. Well, she's gonna be involved in Ring of Honor coming up in August. She's gonna be part of their Women of Honor tour when they head on out to the UK. So you guys may want to, for you ROH fans, you all may want to be keeping tabs on that. They will be taping her debut for Women of Honor, and it will be airing on a future episode of Ring of Honor. So for you guys that maybe aren't going to be in attendance to actually see it, you guys will definitely be able to catch it on ROH TV, whether that's ROH Member Club or whatever channel ROH is on these days. It's so hard to keep up with them. It's not even funny. 1 minute they're on Comet TV, and then, my God, they must have moved around at least 3 times in the past 4 years. I would have to say I wouldn't be surprised if the number was even higher than that. Also, talking about Ring of Honor, let's stay with them. They're actually going to be returning to the DMV. DMV, listen up, Ring of Honor is going to be coming back this go around to Baltimore, Maryland. It's going to be going down in October. They're going to be presenting their Glory by Honor event. Tickets are on sale right now. So you guys take advantage of that. It's going to be going down on Saturday, October 13th. Tickets I see had went on sale July 20th. I'm not seeing how the card is looking right now, but for those of you that are in the Baltimore, Maryland area, or you think you might be around the area, it's going to be on Saturday, October 13th. Looks like this will be streamed live worldwide for Honor Club members. They're going to be at the UMBC Event Center at 1000 Hilltop Circle in Baltimore, Maryland. So keep your eyes peeled on that one. Jose Canseco, you guys remember him? Baseball player. I read his book. I remember when he was a white hot commodity after he went all out there talking about how people were injecting themselves with steroids. Like over 85% of baseball players were injecting themselves and going in the locker room and shooting each other in the butts and all that crap. And he wrote a book about it. Read that book. I thought it was a very just eye-opening experience, and I haven't really looked at baseball the same since. That's the God's the honest truth. I haven't looked at baseball the same since. I know everybody was like, oh, but the Cubs, but Lee, the Nationals. And it's like, I really could care less. That era for me, we'll never see another one like it. Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa. God, I watched so many good games back then, seeing them guys go back and forth. Once Jose Canseco bust all that out, and then Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa eventually came forward, it was like, you crushed my hopes, my dreams. What the hell, man? Like, come on, man. And I haven't really quite been able to come back to baseball like I did back then, because I was a hardcore baseball fan back then. I knew the whole stats and all that crap. But he's actually trying to become a pro wrestler at the age of 54. He's actually signed up with a Oklahoma wrestling promotion called World Class Revolution. No word right now on who his opponent is going to be and everything. I mean, look, man, I'm looking at this move, and quite honestly, this just comes off as whatever you got to do to pay the bills at the end of the day, right? Whatever you have to do. Lord knows him on Fox MLB or what. Yeah, you could pretty much forget about that. You could pretty much forget about that. That ain't happening. Forget about it. But you got to do what you got to do to pay the bills by any means necessary. So I would like to imagine that if Jose Canseco was not able to do this, maybe he'd be a Lyft driver, or maybe he'd be a Uber driver or something like that. So, I mean, look, does his name still hold some type of cachet? To a degree, you know, to a certain degree, it does, but you know, there ain't gonna be a bunch of fans flocking for Jose Canseco. I mean, can we just be honest? And there ain't gonna be a bunch of Jose Canseco fans. Just I gotta go see that. No, it ain't happening. You gamers, heads up. Sad news if you're a Nintendo Switch fan. WWE 2K19, probably good news for you guys, is not going to be coming to Switch after the horrendous experience that went down with last year's 2K on Nintendo Switch. Poor graphics, didn't transfer, you know, yeah, really great graphics that did not transfer that well over to the Switch. Game mechanics and all that was, you know, it was buggy as hell. Any Nintendo Switch gamer will tell you it was just buggy and just crappy all the way around. So 2K has decided this year, no, we are not gonna have our 2K. It ain't coming to Switch. You can forget about it. So those of you looking for that WWE video game fix, hopefully you have an Xbox or you have a PlayStation 4, or maybe you got your PC floating around and it can handle the type of graphics that's going to be coming your way from 2K. But no love on the Nintendo Switch for you guys. Take this time out. I want to recognize some of our show sponsors. There's actually one more piece of news, and it's kind of like a rest in peace section before we get ready to wrap the show up. But I do want to take this time out, recognize some of our show sponsors. Now, for those of you that's going to be checking out the show on demand and on the downloads, shout out to the talented Zen Novice. For those of you that have been listening to the show on the downloads and on demand, you have been hearing us use his song, which is titled Nothing Special, as a intro for our show the past couple of weeks. Great fucking song. If you guys are into the industrial acid type of music, kind of got like a Nine Inch Nails vibe, I would have to say, you would definitely enjoy Zen Novice. Check him out. He's actually on Spotify, and you can actually follow him on Instagram at Zen, Z-E-N _ Novice, N-O-V-I-C-E. And all these I'm mentioning is in the episode description of this very episode you're checking out right now. Good stuff. Also, want to give a shout out to my good buddy over at Epic Sports, always working so hard to bring to you clips of our show, Don Tony, Kevin Castle, Wrestling Soup, and other shows. Be a big supporter. Check him out. Guy, you know, much respect to him. Listen to hours upon hours of shows and tries to figure out what would work best as far as uploading on the channel there. Always working hard for you, the wrestling fans. YouTube.com/Epic Sporting is how you can find him. Shout out to our Patreon members, because without their kind contributions, shows like what you're checking out right now would not be free. Which, by the way, Patreon members, there is a new Wrestling with the Topics that was released over the weekend. If you are a Patreon member, typically the way it works, anytime there's a 30 with Lee or a Wrestling with the Topic, unless I decide otherwise, you guys typically get it on the weekend. I know we said we were going to be doing an experiment just with Wrestling with the Topics for you guys on demand and on the downloads. And I do like the number that I had saw, the early numbers that I had saw. Not bad for a on-demand / download premiere. I'm continuing to keep track of it, but I like the numbers that I'm seeing so far. So I'm going to roll out another episode for you guys to check out on demand and on the downloads. And, you know, all I have to say is if you appreciated what you had got on the downloads with the last installment of Wrestling with the Topics with me and Tammy, then go on ahead, make sure you represent, check out this next episode that will be released for your listening pleasure. I will probably be releasing it at this point, maybe Thursday. Thursday is what I'm thinking as far as when I'll be releasing it. But shout out to our Patreon members. You know, patreon.com/RCWR Show. You get access to exclusive content that is not shared anywhere else. You get access to exclusive live streams, live video, audio content, exclusive content, new content that you're not going to be able to get anywhere else. Sign up, patreon.com/RCWR Show. Shout out to the beautiful and the lovely Courtney Summers, Anthony Missionary Thomas of Wrestling Soup. Shout out to you, homeboy. Shout out to Michael Wolf, John Davis, and Joe Raymond Jr. And one more time, we want to give a shout out to Santra Kitchen, SantraKitchen.com, selling the best and affordable small kitchen appliances, mugs, and kitchen culinary tools, all with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Not satisfied? No problem. Return it. Get your money back. You got 30 days almost to practically enjoy it. You find you're not feeling it during that time frame, just return that bad boy, and you'll get your money back. No questions, no hassle. Easy, right? Easy. SantraKitchen.com. And if you need help planning your next vacation destination, but you don't have time to search for the best deals that's out there, give my buddies at the Destinations Vacation Travel Agency a call at 630-491-6864. That's 630-491-6864, or visit them on the web at destinationvacationstravel.com. That's destinationvacationstravel.com. Also, if you love playing the lottery and you're trying to figure out really cool ways to win, need to hit up my man over at the mylotterywinningsecrets.com website. You can learn from this lottery winner. He has won the lottery not once, not twice, not even 5 times, 5 times, 5 times, 5 times, 5 times, 5 times. He won that bad boy 7 times. Yes, he won the lottery jackpot 7 times. He will share his methods and tips that are proven to be a winning hand. Check him out, mylotterywinningsecrets.com. And for those of you continuing to struggle with a bad credit score, you know, with a bad credit score, that limits you tremendously. Whether you're looking for, God, you're trying to buy that new car, or maybe you're trying to get that car leased. You're trying to come up with a really good, hefty down payment on that new home, right? Things of that nature, man. Bad credit score, it sucks all the way around. It hinders you tremendously. Get in contact with my friends over at nosweatedcredit.biz. They can delete up to 5, count them 5, negative items on your credit report in as little as 5 business days. Also, the RCWR Show with Lee Setters is brought to you in part by GetRichAlso.ws. .ws domains. It is a hot commodity right now because all the real estate is taken up as it is with your .coms, your .orgs, your .net, your .infos, all that, right? Now, .ws is on the rise. I highly recommend you get in on this early. Make yourself a nice, modest income, working your hours, privacy of your own home. Head on over to GetRichAlso.ws, learn more info. So, wrapping up the show tonight, it's amazing how many people had passed. And I was quite amazed at this because, you know, you realize it's a year later. But when you look at the people that had passed away, and then you think about the people that recently had passed away just this month alone in July, you're going, damn, you know, that really freaking sucks. So first off, rest in peace to one Virgil Flynn. Virgil Flynn was an independent pro wrestler. 9 times out of 10, if you are a pro wrestling fan of all the promotions over in California and all that over there on the West Coast, then 9 times out of 10, you have probably seen Virgil Flynn in action, or you somehow at least know about his work. This guy had tragically, and I don't see enough people talking about this, but this young man had passed away shockingly at only the age of 33. The damn young man had a heart attack. And before anybody goes, well, damn, was he obese? Or, I mean, the guy was shredded. I mean, he had a really damn good build. Six pack, very, very chiseled, well defined. Did not look unnatural. His build did not look unnatural by any means. Okay. It looked like he was taking really good care of himself, but he passed away just suddenly and tragically at just the age of 33. And it's weird because last month he had a problem with one of his legs. I want to say maybe it was a torn ACL, but don't quote me on that. But I do believe, if my memory is right, it was a torn ACL, maybe a meniscus tear as well, or whatever. And so he was, basically rehabbing that. Within recent months, he had started up his own promotion slash production company and all that, and seemed as though that was starting to really thrive. And he really had kind of got noticed on a much grander scale, hooking up with Jeff Jarrett's Global Force Wrestling promotion. And if you guys remember, they were trying to crown a inaugural, I want to say it was a inaugural junior champion. And he had lost to Kushida. And then later he was in the finals to crown the inaugural GFW Next Gen champion. And pretty much that all had involved PJ Black, who ultimately had won that. Jigsaw, I believe TJ Perkins was part of that as well. So that's really what had kind of, put him on the map, so to speak, as far as, hey, check this guy out. He's actually pretty damn good. He leaves behind a wife, I believe a kid or two. And the wife, I mean, they got married, I want to say almost 10 years ago. So they were together for, that's a long time. 10 years is actually a long time in today's standards with young couples at that, So definitely thoughts and condolences with the friends, family, and colleagues of that young man. That broke my heart when I had heard that. It really did. And if that isn't a tearjerker enough, a heartbreaker enough, another one that just makes you go, what the hell? And that is rest in peace to Brickhouse Brown. Brickhouse Brown, real name, Frederick C. Wright. He was a pro wrestler that was pretty well known as a heel in the 80s and the 90s. He worked for a lot of Southern wrestling promotions. And he was really known for his feuds with Jerry the King Lawler, Terry Funk. And the way he passed, that was very tragic as well. And you actually had the owner of the Cauliflower Alley Club release a statement online saying that basically Brickhouse Brown, he had got diagnosed with prostate cancer, and sadly he did not have the money to get the treatment. He couldn't afford it. He was too poor, and so he basically was getting pain medication to try to help him with it. And ultimately, he that isn't that just, excuse my French, but isn't that just so, that's messed up, ain't it? Like, in this society that we live in North America, if you're not making enough money to make ends meet, you can't get a treatment. Just imagine that for a second. You can't go get surgery to remove, whatever's going on with you. and you basically have a death sentence. That, I mean, that is just it's sad. It really, really is sad. It broke my heart hearing that. But at the same time, it also puts what I think is a big old spotlight on how some of today's pro wrestlers are doing it right. And I can't stress it enough. And if there's anything I would like to see come from Brickhouse Brown's passing, it would be no, my friend, no, my friend Gino, no, Brickhouse Brown is dead. You had the president of the Cauliflower Alley Club, Brian Blair. Brian Blair had made the announcement. No, I wish he was alive. I wish we were telling a bad joke right now, but no, he's actually died. And just to you know, I mean, we shouldn't have to do this again, but I'll actually type it up one more time. And yeah, he actually died. Yeah, I got Gino. You guys got to forgive me, but I got Gino in the chat. He kind of interrupted my train of thought, and he's saying that no, the guy is actually still alive. But we'll actually type him up right now real quick before we get ready to end the stream. Because I mean, look, if it turns out I'm giving the wrong information, I would love to be like, oh no, sorry guys, we need to give you guys a correction because this person had passed away. Let's see here. All right, bear with me a second here, guys. Yeah, yeah. Gino Brown died. Yeah, I had like double checked this before I was getting ready to do the show tonight, and he died. And you got all the outlets right now. Let's see here. Unless he put out a new statement, let's see what's going on here. All right, let's see what we got here. Hang on. I'm gonna go to somebody who I definitely trust. And I'm seeing two outlets right now that I definitely trust. Let's see. Bear with me here. All right, so shout out to my good friends over at Wrestling Inc. You guys may recall I've constantly put them over during the years, and I've actually off and on been a correspondent with them, breaking some news of my own and everything. So it looks as though, okay, so let's recap this. So originally you had the Cauliflower Alley Club's B. Brian Blair. He originally reported that Brickhouse Brown had passed away from his battle with cancer. And then Blair would follow up on Twitter saying that he was informed that Brown was indeed still alive and will provide more details on his Facebook page. Do I really want to read this statement? I'll read it from Blair. This is what Blair had posted on Facebook. It's pretty short. Brick was dead, but now he's alive. Let me explain. Got a call from Reggie B. Fine, one of Brick's best friends, yesterday morning when he told me that Brick's biological mother, Victoria Timmons, called him in tears and said, "We just lost Frederick." Frederick Seawright is Brick's real name. Then asked Reggie to call me, Coco Beware, and a couple others. About an hour later, Miss Timmons called me to say she appreciated everything that y'all, being the CAC, did for Brick and was crying. Neither of us could speak very much, so we ended the call, both very upset. I got a call last night from Victoria, Miss Simmons, and she said that Brick was alive. I said, "What?" She then told me that Brick's eyes were rolled back in his head with his mouth open and was lifeless. The preacher came in, hospice facility, and I want you guys to keep that in mind. and that they prayed, and she refused to leave until the coroner got there and was done. About 30 minutes later, she was sitting next to him with her eyes closed, exhausted after being up most of the past 3 days. All of a sudden, she heard, "Mama, I'm hungry." And her and the hospice lady could not believe it, and they hurry up and got him some chipped ice, and he had not eaten for almost 3 days. They wound up giving him some liquid food. She said that was the most he had eaten in almost 2 weeks at one time. Although it took about 30 minutes for him to eat and be full, she said it's a miracle from God, and I believe her. Got a call from Reggie B. Fine early this morning to tell me the same story. This is amazing and as accurate as the words that I just said. Don't know what will happen from here, as it is in God's hands, but it's nothing short of a miracle as far as I'm concerned. So happy that I may be able to see him this Wednesday on the way to Iowa. Changing my ticket back again to go through Jackson. On my way to meet some people, but we'll see your responses when I get back tonight. Thank you and God bless. Brian. All right. So, Gino, appreciate that clarification. But, sadly, there's one thing that I need to stress to you guys. Remember, I told you guys to home in on the word hospice. For those of you that don't know hospice, and I know a thing or two about hospice very well, because in my respected household, many times over the years growing up, I have had family members that have had to go to hospice. Hospice is basically, it goes down when health-wise you're in a position where terminally you are on borrowed time. You are going to pass at any moment. At any moment. It could be within minutes. It could be in a day. It could be in a week. It could be 2 weeks. It could be before the month is out. Maybe before the year is out. But you are sadly a dead person walking. And I don't mean to use that choice of words, but I'm just being real with you guys. So at hospice, basically, there is round the clock attention. There is typically caregivers, nursing staff, etc. It just depends on the circumstances, okay? But you basically have people that will make sure that you're okay, you're comfortable, anything that you need, you're able to get that. It's their job to make sure that your final moments on this earth, it's as comfortable as humanly possible. Okay. And depending on where a person is with their stage in hospice, like you have some people that they could be terminally ill with cancer, and they could be about to be anytime. And they make arrangements with their will. They get some last minute things taken care of before they expire. If you have somebody that is dealing with dementia, for example, Tammy's friend that so I'm trying to get the order right. Tammy's best friend's mother had suffered from advanced stages of dementia, and eventually it got to that point where they couldn't, she couldn't eat on her own. There was a lot of things she just could not do anymore, and it was pretty established she was about to expire. So at that point, they transferred her to a hospice, and at that point going forward, it was probably maybe about, I would say she probably hung in there for an additional 5 months, maybe 6 months, and then she expired. Folks, sadly, when you go to hospice, there is no coming back. There is no, you're cured. No, it's so this is great if you are, a fan of Brickhouse Brown, that after hearing that story that I just laid out, that's great that, wow, he's still with us. But the fact that he is in a hospice and is probably going to continue to be in a hospice unless they're able to raise the money and get him the surgery that he so desperately needs. But then even at that, one would have to wonder and also establish how advanced his cancer is, because if it's at that point where they can't operate, because the more time you let go pass, man, that bad boy's gonna mess with the nerves. It's gonna be all up in the organs and all that. It's just inoperable. So if his cancer has metastasized, yeah, then you could pretty much forget about that. So I'm glad that we're not here saying, hey, here's this guy that passed. But for those of you that don't know anything about hospice, now you know. And so he's on borrowed time. It's very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. But other than those two that I had talked about, it's amazing that a year has passed since the passing of Chester Bennington from Lincoln Park. Rocked me tremendously when I have found out about his passing. I'm going, what the hell, But all this went down over the weekend. And then also it was has it been 2 years now? I want to say it's been 2 years now since the passing of Chris Cornell. And there was no way. No, it's only been a year. It's only been a year. Forgive me. It's only been a year since he had passed. And it was kind of Debbie Downer for me last week because the 20th had hit and there was just tributes all over the place. He died May of 2017. I want to say May 18th is when he had passed away, but he was born on July 20th. So there are a lot of Chris Cornell tributes that was just running all over the place, and you're kind of going, let me tell you something. There isn't a day that goes by that I don't think about Chris Cornell, and I don't think about the great music that he's left behind. I mean, take your pick, man. Whether you like Chris Cornell as a solo artist, or you liked Chris Cornell with Audio Slave, or you liked Chris Cornell with Soundgarden, or maybe you enjoyed him with Temple of the Dog or whatever. The thing that was so awesome about Chris Cornell was he had such a iconic voice. You knew the minute that he dropped the first couple of verses that's Chris Cornell. I mean, he could just do a hum and you knew it was Chris Cornell, almost kind of like, a James Taylor song when you hear it, humming or whatever. You just know James Taylor when you hear it. John Denver, same thing, just has that trademark sound, and we lost such a gifted musician, hands down, one of the best songwriters this generation has seen. I would honestly have to say a really damn good songwriter, one of the best showmen that was out there. There isn't a day that goes by that I don't take a moment and I think about Chris. And I take solace in the fact that I was able to finally see Soundgarden. I saw them at the Patriot Center. I don't know what they're calling it now, out in Fairfax, Virginia. I forget what name they're calling it now. The missus always tells me, but I always freaking forget because I've always known it as the Patriot Center. Ever since I came to the DMV back in 92, I've always known it as the Patriot Center. But I was ecstatic that I was able to finally see Soundgarden, a band I grew up, years. And, you can't make the argument that, when you think about Soundgarden, and back then when they had regrouped, I saw them when they had regrouped, they had no new material out yet. This was before the King Animal album had dropped. At this point, I think they were pushing that compilation album that had Black Rain on it. I'm pretty sure they were pushing that one about that time, or that was getting ready to drop. And I had saw them at the Patriot Center And I was going, wow, this is such a surreal moment. This is badass. And I just couldn't wait to see these guys again. And sadly, when they did the King Animal tour, I wasn't able to see them when they came about this way, but I was like, they'll be next time. I'll be able to catch these guys, no problem. And, you know, to hear the passing, it's like, man, that sucks. But I kind of take a little bit of comfort knowing that, hey, at least you were able to see this band and you practically were able to see the original members. You know, pretty much all the albums that were put out, you know, that was like the original band themselves. Like, you know, but I miss that guy tremendously, man. Tremendous. I would imagine that the same way I really feel about Chris Cornell is definitely the same way that a lot of people feel not only about Chris, but about Chester as well. You know, Chester, when it's all said and done, Chester Bennington died of a broken heart. You know, that Chris Cornell was his best friend. You know, when you just look up the history of these two, you know, he lost his best friend and he just could not cope with it. If ever there was a time to live, you know, especially live for the surviving members and all that, you know, some people grieve and take it to certain extremes, and it was just too much for Chester. And I would like to believe that maybe the both of them are somewhere creating some great music together, man. So you had those passings that you're reminded about, and then over here in the DMV really hits close to home. It is officially the 1 year passing of NBC for Washington's Jim Vance. Jim Vance, you research this guy. What a great news anchor. I mean, he brought charisma, he brought personality, he brought a human touch to the way that he talked about the news. And the way he would talk about the news, you didn't feel as though it was above you. You didn't feel like it was beneath you. He brought the news to you in a way where legitimately it just felt like you and him were having a drink together and y'all are just shooting the breeze. That's honestly how he came off. And I've met so many people over the years that were able to meet him at the Fitness Expo and other events in the DMV area. And they always told me how warm, sweet, funny, just wild personality this man was. You know, whenever he wasn't covering the news, his favorite pastime was getting on his motorcycle and just sightseeing, just riding that bad boy. Um, and I tell you, it was a sad day last year when we all have found out about his passing. But I think for a lot of us, we kind of expected it. I definitely knew something weird was going on with him because he went from having his trademark thick type of build to being so tiny and frail. You just knew something was going on. His voice wasn't as, I won't say masculine, but it kind of had a whisper. It seemed like it was more difficult for him to speak. And I'll never forget the 6 o'clock news report. And he broke the news that, you know, he had been diagnosed with cancer, but that he was taking his treatments and that he planned on being at that anchor desk every night. You know, one thing that I homed in on, he never did say, this is beatable. I'm going to kick its butt. You guys just wait and see. And it was so grim watching his 6 p.m. colleagues look on, and some of them were just in tears. They would not look at the camera. Some of them, especially his co-anchor for God knows how many years. Them two probably go at least almost 30 years back. Dorian Gensler, she is just watering up in the eyes. You're kind of going, there's something more to this. There's something more to this that he's not saying, but they know. And my inside sources were, you know, able to tell me, nah, his is pretty advanced. He doesn't have that much more time to live. You know, my connections, an associate actually used to be a cameraman for NBC4. Actually was friends with Jim Vance. So that's how I kind of got my intel firsthand before Mr. Vance even passed that, hey, this is actually what's going on. And yeah, he's on borrowed time. But a Stapleton in the nation's capital, so much so, if you go to Ben's Chili Bowl, you see the iconic mural that recently got repainted. You got Chuck Brown that's on there, radio personality Donnie Simpson, and Jim Vance himself is on that mural as well. So, a lot of passings that had went down, anniversaries that is, that you're kind of reminded of, and you go, ooh, what a sad, rough week it's been, not to end it on a Debbie Downer, but, you just kind of reflect. And, I guess in closing, you could say, really it's about how they lived their lives when they were still on this world. What type of mark did they make? Was it a positive one? And with all of the people that I had mentioned to great lengths, to great degrees, you can make the argument that a lot of them had left a really good positive influence on this world that's going to be felt for many years to come. Without a doubt. I see questions being asked about what's the number and is he answering calls? And welcome. If you're new to the show, welcome. We've been doing this since 2011. As long as we have been streaming, there was a time where we would do phone calls, but the problem was we had the same people that would call into the show. And then it just got to that point where the listeners were going, well, hey, I'm just calling in, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm going to get off now because I want to hear what Joe has to say, or I want to hear what Bob has to say. And it's like, no, it's not the Lee, Joe, and Bob show. It's the Lee show. I like this traditional format. I think nowadays the only time I will open up phone lines is when it comes to major pay-per-view events. So, for example, Survivor Series, SummerSlam, WrestleMania, Royal Rumble. We could definitely open up the phones that way. But this is more of a traditional show where, if anything, as far as interactions, I take a look at what some of you guys are saying in the chat. And, I read some of you guys' comments. I pretty much do it like that. I mean, if you have a question you want me to tackle on the show, you can always go on the youtube.com/the RCWR Show page. Click on the communities tab. Nowadays, I try to post a question thread on there and on Facebook, and you can go at it that way. You can also get at me on the social media outlets, post a question that way. Or if you're in the chat, you can post a question that way as well. See, Gino, not gonna lie, saw Slammiversary on a free stream. $40 is a little bit too much for a pay-per-view. I did pay to watch it last year. I'm with you. I remember for sure I paid last year to watch because I remember I covered a TNA pay-per-view event. I definitely remember that. And I see it, some love in the chat here for Piper Nevin. That's good. Oh yeah, Gino, that's the plan. As far as a Slammiversary review, trust me, when I do check it out, it will just be a Patreon exclusive. Definitely. DJ Subia, yeah, man, I'm excited for Samoa Joe taking on AJ Styles. That is going to be badass. I was eagerly anticipating AJ Styles taking on Daniel Bryan, but the way it's looking now, especially based off of how SmackDown ended, yeah, it's safe to say it's going to be Daniel Bryan and The Miz at SummerSlam. I love the way that whole final segment went down to what was supposed to be a red carpet premiere. As SmackDown transitions to Miz and Mrs., basically ends with Daniel Bryan kind of sabotaging the Miz's moment, pretty much the same way Miz did that whole funeral service thing for Team Hell No last week. You talk about Payback being a you-know-what, but Miz would be the one to get the upper hand. I love the way that all had played out. That was just badass. Loved it all the way. I wish, though, that we would get Daniel Bryan and Miz at WrestleMania, but doesn't look like it's going to be playing out that way. But you know what? I'm going to be loving this at SummerSlam for all that it's worth, man. For all that it's worth. And yes, Gino, I was talking about Lexi Faye. Thank you for that. Yeah, eventually I had I believe I had corrected myself, but I think Lexi Faye would be awesome, you know, for covering the WWE Evolution event. She definitely gets an honorable mention from me. Let's see what else we got here. Just checking out a couple of more comments here before we get ready to wrap up the stream here. I think what also is going to happen this week is Matt Poole. Do I think Matt Poole will sign with the WWE? Matt Poole, huh? I don't know. I don't know. Matt Poole. Are you saying the right name? Because I saw you say at first Matt Riddle. Are you saying Matt Riddle or Matt Poole, Tony? Which name are you going with? I'm really not sure, quite honestly. I'm looking at Matt Riddle right now. Well, I mean, you already got the reports that supposedly he signed a WWE contract. And for those of you that are going, who the hell is Matt Riddle? Like who the hell is this guy that you're referencing, Lee? He's a former mixed martial artist. He was an MMA competitor around the mid-late 2000s. He had appeared on Spike TV's one of the Ultimate Fighter shows that he had appeared on. And he was wrestling in Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. Actually had held on to the tag team titles with Jeff Cobb. Jeff Cobb actually had made his Ring of Honor debut recently. With regards to Matt Riddle, Riddle is also a one-time WWN champion and a two-time Progress Atlas champion. So I'm a little bit familiar about the young man. Not enough to see his work, though. I've only seen just seconds of his stuff over the years, but not enough to make a really good assessment as far as if I feel he would, you know, be a good fit for the WWE and all that. Who hasn't signed a contract with WWE? That's my question. I mean, they got all these damn new hirees, man. There's like at least 50, 60 people that have recently signed with the WWE. It's like, who hasn't the WWE signed? Good Lord. I mean, they're signing a boatload of people left and right. You get a contract. You get a contract. You get a contract. You get a contract. Hot dog man, you get a contract. Janitor, you get a contract. Valet man, you get a contract. You know, what do you do? I don't do nothing. Well, you get a contract. So everybody's getting contracts like they're freaking Skittles taste the rainbow, man. I mean, just pass it along, man. Sign on the dotted line, man. I mean, seriously. At this point, I'm going to go on ahead. I'm going to say this show is DONE done. I want to thank those of you that were awesome in the chat, interacting, but mainly just kicking back and just enjoying the stream. I will definitely open up phone lines when it comes to SummerSlam, but typically on our straight up regular shows, we don't open up the phone lines. We're just not. We've honestly never been that type of show. I go to my good friend Jason Solomonster. Jason Solomonster never opens up phone lines. I can think of some other people that like never open phone lines and they are just a one-man band. I know some people like that whole experience about, being able to call into a show and all that. I think it's good within moderation. I think when it's a situation where you keep spamming it out every single week, it's not as cool, especially when you have the same people that keep calling in, then it's not as cool, Alex Shelley calling it a career. Man, fuck Alex Shelley. Fuck Alex Shelley. I got beef with Alex Shelley as far as I'm concerned. It goes a couple of years back. I'll talk about that next week, but fuck Alex Shelley. I like Chris Sabin. As far as I'm concerned, Chris Sabin, I got no problems with him. But as far as Alex Shelley goes, fuck Alex Shelley. That's all I got to say. Big fuck you to Alex Shelley. And I've never said that for any wrestler before. As long as I have been doing this show, I've never, ever thrown a wrestler under the bus. Never. But Alex Shelley is that exception. And I will tell you why next week. It's a fun story. You guys will actually get a kick out of it. But your next edition of the RCWR show is going to be coming at you guys. At this point, we'll be live on Tuesday, July 31st. One more to wrap up the month of July. Patreon members, there's going to be a new episode of 30 with Lee. You guys got to forgive me. It was supposed to drop Sunday. Got a little bit tied up with some stuff around the house, but the audio has been recorded. I just got to upload it. So this Wednesday night, you guys will get a new 30 with Lee. It'll be covering a Humphrey Bogart classic. You guys will definitely dig that. And no, it's not Casanova. Your hint, it ties into someone that inspired a TV series. That's the only clue that you guys will get. And then for you guys that need more audio content on demand and on the downloads, Thursday night, you guys will get another edition of Wrestling with the Topics with me and Tammy. That was a really fucking fun episode. For those of you that maybe were like, Lee, what's your thoughts on what went down with James Gunner? Me and Tammy went into that. We spent several minutes getting into that. It was really great back and forth. We also had talked about what's going on currently with the NFL and this whole protest thing, because originally you had this stupid law, at least from what Miami Dolphins was reporting, that any player that took a knee was going to be suspended for 4 games. And then Dolphins and the NFL was like, whoa, wait a minute, we're actually still trying to negotiate here. We're working with the players union, you know, blah, blah, blah. So there was a lot of really cool topics that we had went into. So if you notice that there were some topics I didn't get into tonight, that's why, because a lot of those topics we went into on Wrestling with the Topics. So you'll get that for free on the downloads and on demand. So check it out on all the good outlets. Those of you waiting for this audio, give me about 30 minutes and I should have this available. As always, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, they'll get first dibs. Trickle on down to the other platforms, wee hours of the morning. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Use the keywords, the RCWR show. Give me a follow that way. And until next go round, I'm wishing all you guys be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. And until I see you all, may the good news be yours. Y'all take care.